Hello, our dear viewers, and welcome to a new edition of our program, Africa Today. In today's edition, we are going to shed light about the African conference, which will be attended by President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi in France, which is hosted by French President Nicolas Sarkozy. France actually will host two conferences on Monday, the 17th and 18th. One over the supporting of Sudan during the transitional period, and the other will discuss financing African economies during the coronavirus pandemic. Cairo reportedly intends to focus during the conference over Sudan on the international community solidarity for support of Khartoum and Egypt's efforts in this regard, while it will shed light on facilitating the integration of the African economies into the global economy during the African Economies Conference. Paris also to witness talks between Macron and President Sisi, who traveled to France earlier today over funds of mutual concern. And in our program today, we'll be shedding light about that very important topic. But first, with this report where the U.S. says it is necessary to resume the AU-led negotiations between Cairo and Addis Ababa and Khartoum over the Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam. The statement by the U.S. State Department came as U.S. Special Envoy for the Horn of Africa, Jeffrey Feltman, concluded his first visit to the region. More details in the following story by Samah Sharif.
The United States has urged on Friday the resumption of African Union-mediated negotiations between Cairo, Addis Ababa and Khartoum over the disputed Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam, the GERD. According to a press release, the U.S. State Department said that Cairo and Khartoum's worries over water security, the safety and the operation of the dam can be reconciled with Ethiopia's development needs through substantive and results-oriented negotiations among the parties under the leadership of the AU, which must resume urgently. The statement read, "We believe that the 2015 Declaration of Principles signed by the parties and the July 2020 statement by the AU Bureau are important foundations for these negotiations, and that the U.S. is committed to providing political and technical support to facilitate a successful outcome." End quote. The statement by the U.S. State Department comes as U.S. Special Envoy for the Horn of Africa, Jeffrey Feltman, concluded his first visit to the region after traveling to Egypt, Eritrea, Sudan and Ethiopia from May 4 to May 13. The visit by the U.S. envoy to the region comes as tensions have mounted in the past weeks after the latest trilateral round of talks in Kinshasa earlier in April failed to produce an agreement to relaunch the deadlocked negotiations. Ethiopia's rejection of several proposals by Cairo and Khartoum on the negotiation mechanism, which includes an international quartet mediation, has led to the collapse of the Kinshasa talks. The three sides have resorted to diplomacy in the past weeks, briefing regional and international counterparts on their stances and developments on the latest deadlock in negotiations. The efforts come as Ethiopia remains unwavering on forging ahead with the second filling of the dam, set to take place in July, despite the objections of Cairo and Khartoum over the execution of such a move in the absence of a legally binding deal. The second filling aims to collect around 18.4 billion cubic meters of Blue Nile water, up from 4.9 secured during the first filling last year.
Egypt received 2.2 million AstraZeneca and xenofarm vaccine doses during the weekend. More details.
Egypt has received a batch of more than 1.7 million doses of the AstraZeneca vaccine through the COVAX initiative and a separate shipment of 500,000 xenofarm vaccine doses from China. The health ministry said the country received its first COVAX delivery of 854,000 AstraZeneca doses at the start of April. It has also received several shipments of the xenofarm vaccine, bringing the total number of vaccine doses delivered to 5 million. Cairo has an agreement for the supply of 20 million xenofarm doses and has been allocated 4.5 million doses of the AstraZeneca vaccine through COVAX. It is preparing to produce the Sinovac and Sputnik vaccines locally. Authorities in Egypt, with a population of just over 100 million, say they are trying to contain a third wave of COVID-19 infections and have put in place some restrictive measures until May 21, shortening opening hours and banning large gatherings. Some 2.7 million people have registered online with the Health Ministry to receive a vaccine. Authorities opened a mass vaccination center in Cairo this month, capable of vaccinating 10,000 people per day. 240,927 coronavirus cases have officially been confirmed in Egypt, including 14,091 deaths as of Wednesday. Officials and experts say the real number of infections is far higher, but is not reflected in government figures because of low testing rates and the exclusion of private test results.
Morocco is to stage the African Champions League final, while Egypt will host the U20 Nations Cup. The decisions were announced following the CAF Executive Committee meeting in Kigali, Rwanda on Saturday. More details in the following story.
Morocco was chosen by CAF's Executive Committee to host this season's Champions League final. The African governing body made the announcement on Saturday. Cairo hosted the last season's final, which comprised two Egyptian sides. Ahli won a record-extending ninth title after a memorable 2-1 victory over perennial rivals Zamalek in November last year. This year's final, scheduled for 17th of July, will take place at the Mohammed V Stadium in Casablanca, the home venue of Wydad, who are the only Moroccan representative in the Champions League knockout stage. Wydad played out a 1-1 draw away to MC Alger in the first leg of the competition's quarter-final on Friday. CAF also announced that Egypt would host the Under-20 Nations Cup, which qualifies for the World Cup in 2023. Egypt last hosted the tournament in 1991, but the country hosted the Senior and Under-23 Nations Cup in 2019. Meanwhile, CAF said it will implement a training program for an elite body of referees as part of a $1 million per year agreement with world governing body FIFA. CAF said in a statement, the program aims to contract referees who will be paid, monitored, and trained by FIFA, CAF technical and physical instructors.
To shed light about the visit by President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi to France to attend the meetings which will be held on the 17th and 18th of May on Sudan, we are very much delighted to have with us over the phone Ambassador, our dear guest over the phone. Hello, Mr. Ambassador. Hello. Hello?
Hello.
Hello, sir. Hello? I do believe that we are having a technical...
I can't hear you from the phone.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me, sir?
Now I hear you.
Hello, sir, and happy Eid. Ambassador Gamal Bayoumi, former Assistant Foreign Minister, always a pleasure to have you with us, sir.
It's my pleasure.
Ambassador Bayoumi, how do you see here the level of cooperation and ties between Cairo and Paris?
Very important, very traditional sort of cooperation since long time, since Charles de Gaulle and Gamal Abdel Nasser, since they supported us in order to get rid of the occupation, and we are in the middle of a great era when we concluded the association agreement between Egypt and the 27 European countries, where France, Italy, Germany are among the most important countries there. France has a special presence in our life. As we are a sort of pyramids builder, we like building pyramids, and the French pyramid in Cairo is the underground, a huge project which is very important for all of us.
Yes.
Also, France is helping us in many sorts of projects like in electricity and power energy, in the East Mediterranean Gas Forum, and politically they are with us to discuss and explain and exchange views concerning Libya, what's happening in Sudan, and this meeting especially is addressing, supporting the Sudanese government. Sudan is in a great need of our support. What is happening in Libya, in Lebanon, in Palestine, of course, all these files are on the table. Besides the very important file which is helping development in Africa by getting more and more investment in Africa, with the experience of Egypt, with the finance of European Union and other partners.
Yes.
So many files are there, and I think it's a good opportunity for President Sisi to meet his counterparts from other countries.
Indeed.
Very important meeting for Egypt, France, Sudan, and Africa.
Indeed. Ambassador Bayoumi, how do you weigh actually the timing of the visit by President Sisi to France?
Very important, because we are in the middle of gathering our efforts to help Sudan and Africa.
Yes.
And Africa, of course, this is the time to start serious business. I do not ignore also that 100% they are going to talk about the Ethiopian Dam, and to intervene with good intention to come to a good solution, peaceful solution. Also for what's happening in Gaza. We are in the middle of a big war against the Palestinians, and they are suffering in Jerusalem. And nobody in Israel, not many people in Israel, understand the seriousness of the situation of Jerusalem. And the history there is suffering a lot of fraud against our historical presence in Palestine. Of course, we are keen to see a sort of solution for what is happening in Lebanon. Lebanon is also in a serious financial trouble.
Yes.
Syria also, we are both involved with there. Many political and security files are there. Economic and even trade files are there.
Yes.
We do not ignore the culture and civil dimension of our relation with France and with Europe.
Indeed. Mr. Ambassador, President Sisi and his French counterpart Emmanuel Macron are to hold a meeting over issues of mutual concern. What files do you expect to feature high on the agenda of the meetings?
We have international agenda where we are fighting together terrorism, we are fighting illegal migration, we are fighting money laundering. We have a regional agenda, of course, where we mention what's happening in Sudan, in Libya, in Lebanon, in Syria, in the east of the Mediterranean. And above all, and most important, is the bilateral relations, where we see our Minister of International Cooperation signing a sort of cooperation agreement with French counterpart. So France is with us everywhere.
Yes.
We are, after all, member of the Frankfurt group. We are a country which uses the French language. Boutros Ghali was the Secretary General of such a forum. So the relations are really very important for all the parties, and I personally wait to see many results of such a very important meeting.
Yeah, indeed. Mr. Ambassador, the current role by Cairo in support of the transitional period in Sudan is actually also to be discussed during the visit to France and during the conference in support of this phase. How would you describe Cairo's role during Sudan's transitional phase?
This is one very good point, that Sudan is in great need for us to support its stability, and that we are in a very good relations and contacts with all the Sudanese parties in order to encourage them to raise the flag of a united Sudan instead of the tribes or the parties dimension.
Yes.
Another thing in Sudan, that we want to help the financial situation in Sudan, and thank God that the IMF is allocating some capital to help the Sudanese financial stability. The United States is doing the same. I hope that now we are attracting France and the European Union to help more and more our Sudanese partners. And of course, as Sudan is our immediate neighbor in the south, so it's very important for us. So we are going to work on this file also, and I hope we are in a good position to reach good solutions for all parties.
Yes, indeed. Sir, how do you see actually the development with regard to the transitional phase in Sudan?
Sudan really is in the middle of a big challenge. And we are trying to convince all the parties that the unity of Sudan will be for the favor of everybody. Don't concentrate on the parties or the tribes, because this is against the health of a united Sudan. This also our task in Libya or our task in Lebanon. Thank God that we belong to a very united country, Egypt. If you are from Alexandria and I am from Aswan, we belong to the same country. This is not the case in Sudan or in Libya, unfortunately, because every party feels that he belongs to something less than a big country. We want to change this. We want to encourage all the parties in Sudan, bearing in mind that Egypt is hosting millions of Sudanese living among us without feeling that they are treated differently. I belong to the generation who have seen Egypt and Sudan as one country with one flag. So this is our attitude and our effort towards Sudan in order to bring Sudan as one united country, and I hope also this will be applied to South Sudan also.
Indeed, Ambassador Gamal Bayoumi, former Assistant Foreign Minister. Always a pleasure to listen to your very precious input, sir. Many thanks for being with us today. And with that, our dear viewers, we come to the end of this edition of our program, Africa Today. Many thanks for watching.